You won't recognise Brisbane in a few years. Dubbed Australia's fastest growing city and the host of the 2032 Olympic Games, Brisbane is building skyscrapers and revolutionizing the metro lines with a cross-river rail that will go under the Brisbane River. As the years come to an end, the project has faced challenges and triumphs. So let's discuss it in today's episode of Built Up. We've all heard of Sydney or Melbourne, but Brisbane is a little less known, at least to the rest of the world. So for those who aren't native, let's go over some quick stats. Looking to revolutionize and elevate city life, Brisbane has won the bid for the 2032 Olympic Games, and as a result, they need to completely revamp the city's metro line to accommodate the influx of tourists. Around 1,000 people move into the city every week. Today, Brisbane has a population of 3.5 million people. By 2036, that number is expected to balloon to nearly 5 million, putting Brisbane on the same level as Melbourne or Sydney. And while 80% of that growth will happen right outside Brisbane, the 45% growth in new jobs that will become available will be in the Brisbane metropolitan area. As more and more jobs become available in the city and the population grows on the outskirts, Brisbane will need to find a way to accommodate everyone. And this population growth comes with an increased demand for public transport. Brisbane is currently working on several major infrastructure projects, which is one of the reasons the Olympic Games Committee chose them to host the Olympics. Now, one of these infrastructure projects is the Cross River Rail, stretching 6.3 miles, with more than half of that, or 3.6 miles of twin tunnels, stretching underneath the city itself. It's the biggest infrastructure project in the history of Brisbane, costing an astounding $6.4 billion. This metro line goes directly under the Brisbane River and the Central Business District, or CBD. Basically, Australia is currently working on a major infrastructure project in the heart of Brisbane without interfering with everyday life. The goal is to have the public only walk between 10 to 15 minutes before reaching the nearest CRR station. When complete, the Cross River Rail will have 4 new stations, 6 renovated stations, and 3 new stations on the Gold Coast. Today, there's only one river crossing on the South East Queensland rail network. Trains from the Metro line go from the CBD and must travel through one of the 4 different inner city stations. They're located at Roma Street, Central, Bowen Hills, and Fortitude Valley. The Cross River Rail will have exactly 4 new stations located underground. The first one will be located at Boggo Road, Woolloongabba, Albert Street, and Roma Street. Brisbane is also looking to construct 2 new stations at Exhibition and Dutton Park. There'll also be 2 new stabling facilities located at each end of the Cross River Rail at Main Yard and Clapham Yard. The city will be rebuilding a total of 6 stations located south of Dutton Park. That's why Fairfield, Yeronga, Yeronpilly, Moorooka, Rocklea and Salisbury will get a completely new look. But the $6.4 billion project won't be complete without an additional 3 new stations located along the Gold Coast near Pimpampa, Hope Island and Merrimack. Because this is a new state-of-the-art system, the trains will use the latest ETCS or European Train Control System. Plus, this major project will help the Brisbane rail network to operate in 3 distinct sectors. Sector 1 will connect the Gold Coast and the Sunshine coastlines. Sector 2 will bridge the Ipswich line to the airport and Shorncliffe line. Sector 3 will connect the Ferny Grove line with the Cleveland line. With this infrastructure project, the South East Queensland region will be transformed from the ground up. As an added bonus, the project will allow Brisbane to run more trains with an increased frequency in the future, if demand for affordable public transportation increases. Now, if you like the video so far, don't forget to subscribe. Now that we're all on the same page, let's take a look at some milestones that Brisbane has managed to achieve in this project. We'll start off with the most exciting one, in the underground station at Roma Street. Workers gathered to see the very first train enter the installation. At a modest speed of 3 miles per hour, this significant achievement means that the testing phase and commissioning will now begin. This trip is important as now complex signalling, door and ventilation systems can be inspected and adjusted accordingly. There'll be thousands of tests performed throughout the Cross River Rail tunnels and systems. lighting, power, cameras, draining, and life safety systems, just to name a few. At Albert Street Station, the pedestrian platform and mezzanine space has been completed. At 720 feet long and beneath the city at a depth of 100 feet underground, this area took 183 precast concrete beams assembled like a Lego set. Each beam, which is 60 feet wide and at a weight of 70 tons, was lifted with a mezzanine loader. So dropping one of these structural components would have done some real damage. At Woolloongabba, concrete pours are ongoing for the back of the house rooms, and its own mezzanine level is starting to receive cladding. Now, some of the challenges that construction companies face when pouring concrete in difficult locations is time. You see, concrete, depending on the mix design, only has a set amount of time where it's workable. Per code, if the concrete is not in the formwork in time, the truck must be sent back to the plant with whatever remaining concrete there is. In a congested area such as Brisbane, this task requires a lot of coordination. At Boggo Road, out of the 14 escalators that will need to be installed, 5 have been placed. This task requires millimeter accuracy. Escalators come pre-made and in sections, and as such, you can't just cut them in the field like you would a piece of wood. Most escalators require engineers to draw, field verify the measurements, and remeasure before all the components are fabricated. If you're off by too much, back to the factory it goes for adjustment. But unlike an escalator adjustment, problems that arise in the handling of the project are harder to adjust. Just like every project in the world, there inevitably are issues, and this project is no exception. Back in 2023, the project was facing some unhappy workers, and rightly so. According to Independent Australia, in a rush to complete the then deadline of 2024, workers reported injuries and a fatal near miss. Projects on the surface are already dangerous. If you're working underground, it's not hard to imagine the issues that some workers face. Although it's unknown exactly what conditions the workers were worried about, the common ones that are seen around the world include 1. Poor ventilation underground. Gas-powered tools and vehicles create fumes. Work sometimes creates silica dust. A temp ventilation system is always a must. 2. Lack of appropriate procedures when climbing on scaffolds and walking on high platforms. Harnesses are a standard, but if they're not provided, or if workers are not informed, falls are likely to happen. Only time will tell if these issues rise again. But for a growing city like Brisbane, stopping construction is not an option. Being the centre of attention for the Olympics brings in a lot of benefits to the city. Apart from the economic incentives, it's a source of pride for the locals. What everyone must realise is that this isn't like the projects that countries make and then are abandoned after a World Cup or an Olympic event. This project is critical for a city that has statistically the worst traffic in Australia and is ranked the 12th worst in the world. The hope is that public transport will become so convenient that it makes owning a car less appealing. So, what do you think of this Brisbane transformation? Let us know if you plan on using this rail once it's complete. Now, here's another video mega project enthusiasts enjoyed watching. Bye for now.